Hello everyone. Okay, before we jump into this vlog, I wanted to say a quick hello and thank you to my sponsors for today's video, which is Oodie. I have something I'm really excited to share with you guys today, so I wanted to just unbox it and talk about it for a quick second before we dive into the rest of the video. So this is a weighted blanket. So Oodie does weighted blankets, if you weren't aware, and a weighted blanket is filled with like these beans almost is what it feels like inside, so that it's nice and heavy and cozy. This is just one of many great products that Oodie does, and I'm a big fan. It's super soft, very snuggly, and it's reasonably big too. I mean, granted, I'm a small person, so we're looking at like this kind of height, this kind of like it's really long. It's also incredibly heavy, so it's got this great length to it. I feel like I could burrito myself into this really well. So you can see it's sort of stitched into like these squares, and that's where like all the innards are contained. The great thing is that these are also washable, so you can put them in the machine. It just does come with the warning that these are obviously not for little kids, but that's what I wanted to share with you today and talk about it and say that I have another discount code to share with you guys. I will leave it down below here, and it will be in the description box below for you to use later on once you finish watching the video, and that is KirstyBooks35, and that's to get $35 off your next order at Oodie. So make sure you head along to their website and go and use that code if you want to get some great discounts on products like these or pajamas or an Oodie itself. And I am certainly excited to cozy up and do some reading underneath this blanket. Anyway, let's roll on with the rest of the video. Welcome to April. I'm so excited that we are entering this month because I'm really excited about the TBR that I've got for April. So let's have a quick check-in with plans for the month and what I'm looking forward to. So the first book I've actually finished already for this month, and that was something that I was finishing up from March, and that was Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone. So good, 5 stars, was brilliant. It has gone on my all-time favourite lists, and was honestly just such a good read. Like, it was the best thing I've read since And Then There Were None. And it was just as good as that. So if you're a big fan of Agatha Christie, or of just murder mysteries in general, then this is like something you really need to get your hands on because it's so amazing. So that's an immediate update I have for you, but obviously I've got a TBR, and so for this month I'm going to be reading Starsight, which is the sequel to Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. It's a sci-fi series. I'll be reading Cinder, which is like so surreal because it's been on my TBR for so long and everyone else in the world has read it. I'm going to be trying to read The Brunswick Street Blues, which is another sort of crime murder mystery. I'm reading so much crime this year, and that is a review copy. I'll be trying to get through The House of Always. I will not let this month finish without me at least starting this. In fact, I want it to be one of the first ones I pick up to try and tick it off the list. I've been meaning to read this for nearly a year, and it is a like aging review copy at this point. It's just such a big series. I've been really intimidated by it, but the next book will be coming out, I assume, in May or at least in the second half of the year, so I'm really looking forward to picking that one up, but it's huge. Then I've got Michael McIntyre's memoirs to pick up, which is also again part of the review copy. So if you don't recall from my TBR, I will be doing like a half arc April, so half of my TBR is review copies, as opposed to like all of the categories that I usually pick from. And the final thing I'll be doing is a reread of Air of Fire. That's probably the book I'm the most nervous for, and that is including The House of Always. Whilst The House of Always is intimidating, I remember that when Air of Fire came out, that was the book in the series where everything really slowed down for me with Throne of Glass. I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't as easy to read as the first 2 books in the novellas. So I'm a little bit anxious as to how I'm going to go with that one, and if I'm going to enjoy it more or if I'm going to get bogged down again. We will just see. I have no real plans. I'll probably start reading that towards the end of the month. And I'm also going to be reading League of Lies by Astrid Schultz. So this is like my priority book because this is for book club which is happening in 2 days time. So we're leaving this one a bit late. I am planning to read as much of this as possible today and just try and smash it out over the next couple of days. I've heard it's okay. I've heard it's not her best, which makes me nervous because I've only read one of hers and it wasn't the best book I've ever read. So look, we'll just see. I think she might just be like an average sort of run-of-the-mill fantasy writer perhaps, but that's where we're at with that. In April I am planning to do a lot of writing as well, so I'm going to be trying to balance reading time with writing time. Would love to continue this trend of reading like 10-ish books. That's been amazing. And I will also find out what the next book club pick of the month is when I go to book club in a couple of days time. So I'll fill you in on that, because if it's something in a genre I want to read, then I'll be trying to read that possibly towards the end of April for May's book club pick. So yeah, that's where we're at with things. In terms of audiobooks, I'm currently listening to Stolen Focus, which is an incredible non-fiction book. Oh, I'm also still reading Maybe You Should Talk to Someone, which is a rollover from last month. so much reading going on. I've still got A Court of Silver Flames. We're still going to keep trying to read through that. I don't know which audiobook I'm going to read next. Might be Lord of the Rings, might be something completely different. I haven't decided. But in any case, I will keep you updated. Small and hilarious update, which I feel the need to confess to, because I don't think I'm going to be able to hide it from you guys. So it was supposed to be stormy today before I went on a walk this morning. It's the same day as when I've just checked in, and it was supposed to be raining. It's supposed to be like cool. It was humid. We've like been threatening rain for 2 weeks and nothing's happened. And so if you have the keen eye, you might have noticed that I'm looking quite red here. So I went walking for like 2 hours, guys. Like, that was a really long time to be without. Look at that. Look at that sunburn. That's terrible. This is a bad sunburn, and it's like the whole way down both of my arms. And I was wearing like a you saw what I was wearing the last thing. You can see my face is totally a bit red too. But anyway, so nobody show my mother. But I'm gonna be red for the rest of April, I think. So enjoy that in all the coming videos. So it's the 6th of April today. It's a few days later. I'm a bit chilly today. It's cold inside the house and I'm working from home. And I've just stopped to have some lunch. I wanted to fill you in on where I'm at with books. Because I've been working from home, I haven't been listening to my audiobook because I pretty much only audiobook whilst I drive. And so no progress to share on that front with Stolen Focus. I did start to read League of Liars. I can't remember what my last update was. And that was for book club last night, which I then ended up not being able to make, which was tragic. But yeah, in any case, I finished reading League of Liars, was really impressed, gave it 5 stars. I have been like on a real run of 5-star reads over the last few weeks. It's been amazing, and it's just like really filling my cup with great energy. I'm loving it. But yeah, League of Liars was really interesting. It was much better than Four Dead Queens. It's got some really interestingly mixed reviews on Goodreads, and I feel like it's because a lot of people have been told this is like Six of Crows, and I just think it is like so different. Six of Crows for me almost borders on like new adult, sort of grungy heist epic fantasy, whereas this one is like your more simplified YA fantasy, and yes, there's heist elements to it, but it's so different. So my recommendation is don't make that comparison when you go into it. Astrid Schultz to me is really similar to Mara Rutherford, who was the author we read in the previous month for book club, and I find both of them have like a really simplistic and gentle YA fantasy storytelling style. And so if you read their books, you're going there for an easily consumed story that's really fun, and nothing too much more than that. So yeah, I would definitely recommend League of Liars. It left on the biggest cliffhanger, and I'm so excited for book 2. In terms of where I'm at with my other books, I'm just going to have a little quick read of some more of Maybe You Should Talk to Someone, and then I should be able to start my TBR for April. So obviously I'm like maybe, what would you call that? A quarter, a third, not far into this one. I haven't been reading it much because of League of Liars, etc. I haven't read any more of Court of Silver Flames. I will do it. And I did actually randomly start reading another book. I have to check what it is. Okay, so the book I started reading was on my Kindle, and it's called The Limitless Sky. And this is like a dystopian, although I think it's like, I don't know, the preface to it had like this whole thing about it being like a mix of genres or whatever. This was very random. It was just sort of on my mind yesterday. I was looking at all the books on my TBR and some review copies I want to read, and it's been on the back of my mind that I requested this one recently, even though I really didn't have the time for it, just because it sounded really, really interesting. So go and read the blurb if you're interested, but I've read the first 5% of that one, and I'm just going to probably just tick through slowly with that. Maybe that can be my review copy that's on the back burner, like I said I would do, with the whole 50 pages a day sort of thing. But we'll see, because I actually didn't mean for that to be the next one. I did want to pick up The Nurse's War. So yeah, we're still like hardcore in a chaos period of my reading where I'm just reading everything at the same time, with no real clear focus on the direction. But once I finish a few more books, the next thing I'll be picking up is Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. So that is my update for you today. I will keep you posted as to how things go. Oh, I do know what the next book club pick is, and that is Anatomy, which is this book. And I'm hopefully going to go and pick up a copy of that to read for book club in the near future. It's later on the same day, and honestly, I'm going to take bets with myself as to which book I actually finish next. I am feeling in like such a chaos mood, and I just don't know what I feel like reading. I don't know what genre I feel like reading. When I go to pick up a non-fiction book, I'm like, oh, that's great, non-fiction, and then I immediately want to read fantasy, so I put it down, and I go and get my fantasy book, and then I'm like, I want non-fiction. I'm exhausting myself, and all I want to do is keep starting new books. But we're not going to do that. We're going to put a foot down at however many books I'm currently reading. So I'm not long home, and it is the 10th of April. It's the 10th of April today. I hope you're enjoying the sunburn that is fading. It looks great, I know. And so I have just got back home. You can see there's been a bit of book shopping going on. I'll talk about that in my book haul though. Really exciting books to tell you about. However, I will talk about one book because I've started reading it. So as a sneak preview, I started reading Atomic Habits by James Clear. This was a really popular book, and I'm using glasses cleaners as my bookmark at the moment, so please ignore that. I will be getting a proper bookmark. This is really good so far. This is very random. I've just read the first 60 pages. I was just really curious when I picked it up, and then I just sort of didn't stop reading. Off the back of finishing Stolen Focus, I was just really curious to read more stuff around this sort of topic and see how the books sort of complement or contradict each other. So far this is going pretty nicely hand in hand, but I'll keep you posted on that front. In terms of what else I'm reading, I finished listening to Stolen Focus. I've started my next audiobook, and I decided to start reading the How to Train Your Dragon, bind up with the first 3 books. So I have probably read about a couple of hours of that so far, which is narrated by David Tennant, who I love. It's been really interesting. It's a bit of a strange audiobook, truth be told. As much as I love his narration, he speaks really quietly when the characters have internal thoughts. It's just like really hard to hear whilst you're driving. To turn up and turn it down, because then other parts are really loud. So that's been a little bit frustrating. And I'm still reading Maybe You Should Talk to Someone, so I'm really on a non-fiction binge at the moment. Obviously being the 10th of April, I probably need to get my butt into gear and actually get on to the TBR. So I will be reading Starsight as soon as I finish something. I'm supposed to be filming today, but I don't have the bother or the energy, and I'm not going to, so we're gonna just put that off. I'm probably gonna take a few photos now, but otherwise I'm gonna spend the rest of my Sunday just reading and chilling out, probably rotating between Atomic Habits and Maybe You Should Talk to Someone, and hopefully I can finish one. I'll get close to finishing one today. That would be lovely. Of April, and I actually thought I had checked in with you since my last one, but I haven't. So I do owe you a couple of updates because I finished the first 2 How to Train Your Dragon books now. I rated both of them 4 stars, and I'm still like really, I guess I'm grappling with the fact that I'm definitely too old for them, though I did find the second one more enjoyable than the first, in the sense that I was less aware of the kiddiness of it. So there is that. It's obviously not meant for my age group at all. But it's so different from the films, and I love the films so much, so it's kind of like I want it to be the films and it's not. So anyway, I've been sitting on a 4 stars there just because it's not a 5 stars for me yet, and I've just started reading the 3rd one, and then I will be taking a break from them because that's the last audiobook in my little bundle that I got, and because they're only 3-hour audiobooks, and as far as I know there isn't a bundle up for like the next 3, I don't really want to pay the full cost of an audiobook for a book that's so short when I could get a book that's 60 hours long, sort of thing. So I'm planning to buy the books and continue from 4 onwards in physical copy. I've had an insanely busy week. I have like a presentation that I'm giving tomorrow after work, so all of my evenings this week have basically been spent working on that presentation, which means I've not had as much reading time as I've wanted. So I'm still reading Atomic Habits. I am only just over halfway, still really enjoying that. I've continued to read The Limitless Sky. I'm 12% through this one now. I'm not entirely sure what's going on just yet, but I'm slowly piecing it together. I've also still been reading Maybe You Should Talk to Someone, so I'm definitely over the halfway mark there now with this one. This is really good. This is actually really a long book because it's tall and the font's really small. So I'm actually finding that this is genuinely just taking me a while to get through because it is really quite a big book, but it is also good. And I'm not sure where I was up to last time I checked in, about A Quarter Silver Flames, but I'm nearly at the 200 page mark now, so this is about 700 pages. So I'm just sort of reading, again, small chunks when I can to try and slowly get through this. I'm feeling a bit stressed on the reading side of things, considering we are getting through the month now, and I have a really huge pile that's sitting just across there. So you can see this big stack I've got here of the books, of many things I want to read. The bottom stack of it, it's sort of just been like chaos dumping for my mind. I really want to start reading Order of the Phoenix soon, and there's a few other like hopeful books that I want to get around to. There's a review copy I need to get through, and then there's the whole TBR. So I've not actually started my TBR yet, which has surprised me. I thought I would have started it by now, but I think just the first week of this month has been unexpectedly busy, and this presentation has genuinely slowed me down. So I've got really stuck on basically the books that I was still reading at the end of the month. So that's always like such a pain when that happens. It is coming up to Easter. It will be a long weekend for me this week. I don't know how much time I'm gonna have for reading because I have stuff on. But I'm hoping to just like finish off the non-fiction books so that I can start reading Starsight and Cinder. I had been wanting to start House of Always, but I think I want to just do some smaller books first. I will not be finishing this month without reading House of Always, though. That is something that will not be, that's not a non-negotiable, but I need something easier to read in between the non-fiction and that. Anyway, that's my update for today. Curious to see where we're at when I check in a few days' time. Let's all just pray that after tomorrow and the presentation's done, I'll be less tired and less stressed. And a few days of rest will probably do me good, so fingers crossed. the 21st of April now, so it's been a hot second since I checked in. And I do have some updates for you. So I believe the last time I checked in I had finished the first two How to Train Your Dragon books. I've now finished the third one, which I rated 5 stars finally. So that one sort of ticked over just a little bit more in maturity for me, and I ended up enjoying it just a little bit more. And I've just become very sort of addicted to the series, and I really want to go out and get the rest of the books. So at some point in the future, I am planning to find a box set of them and continue reading them that way. I'm not going to do any more via audiobook just because, as I mentioned, they're only 3 hours. They're really short to buy individually, but I have really enjoyed them, and I definitely want to read all of them because they're just really fun adventures and honestly so great to read. The next audiobook I've started is actually Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, so number 2. I can't really remember how the last one finished off, so I'm sort of going off what I remember from the films, but I'm looking forward to tucking into that one because it's such like an atmospheric book, but it is a little bit hard to understand via audiobook, but I will not read it if I'm reading physical books. Last night I finished reading Cinder, so I finally ticked off a book off my TBR. This was 4 stars for me. I wasn't sure what to expect from it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really clever Cinderella retelling, and I did just think it was magnificent. So I'm really looking forward to continuing the series, which I absolutely plan to do. And I'm sort of holding that 4-star rating, thinking that things are going to get better as the series progresses and gets bigger and other things are introduced. So 4 stars is a really good starting point for that one. Yeah, just really enjoyable, really great characters, and a really unique and original take on a retelling of a classic tale. So I very much so enjoyed that. In terms of other things I'm reading, I've started reading The Order of the Phoenix, which again I'm reading along with Chris. I am only like 80 pages in, I think, so I have to get a bit further into this one at some point. This is an 800-page book, so yeah, that huge thing to be taking on. And in terms of other things aside from that, I wanted to continue with my TBR, so I think I'm going to be taking Starside to work today to read on lunch, which is the second book in the Brandon Sanderson series, though I have literally this morning just started reading The Nurse's War and all of like 2 pages in for this one, but I wanted to just actually start reading this one because I want to get this reviewed this month. So those are all the things that I'm currently reading. The chaos continues. I have a long weekend coming up. It's Thursday, so I've got Friday through Monday off, so I'm hoping to get a lot of reading done this weekend, but we will see how far I get. The 25th of, I was going to say January, but it is April. Oh my god. Okay, so It's Anzac Day today, and if anyone watching doesn't know what that is, it is basically Remembrance Day in Australia and New Zealand. I guess like Memorial Day or whatever it is you have in America. I don't know if the UK has anything other than Remembrance Day. Anyway, it's a day of remembrance, so it's a public holiday. It's also my sister's birthday today, so we'll be going out for lunch. It's exciting. But I wanted to jump in and update you that I had finished a book. I finished reading Starsight, which is the sequel to Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. 5 stars. Left not on such a cruel cliffhanger. I wasn't expecting that. I feel like I haven't read a book for a while that's actually had such an intense cliffhanger. Like it was like I turned the page and I was like, what? You can't finish it there. So I'm really looking forward to reading Cytonic, which is the last book, but it's only out in the tall edition since last time I checked. And I only have the little editions, so I'm actually going to force myself to wait in the hopes that they're going to release a smaller edition of it, hopefully soon. But anyway, that's where I'm at with that. I don't think I have any other updates for you. I am trying to read The Nurse's War, which is that book just there, and then I'll be starting the 4th book in the Courts of Dragons series, so House of Dragons. Truly don't know how much reading I'm actually going to get finished by the end of the month. I feel like I have not read that many review copies, though that being said, the next 2 are review copies. But yeah, look, no comment really. The only other update I have is that I am going to start a readathon, which started yesterday or 2 days ago, which is called the Minimize Your TBR Readathon, and it's being hosted by Reading with Emma. And you will get more of this in my May TBR video, which will be coming out just before this comes out, and you will be seeing more in the May wrap-up, because I'm going to be combining my special May TBR with the readathon. So I will leave all of that discussion to that video, but that is happening, and I'm doing it with friends to try and motivate myself to get through lots of books. But for now, it's going to be a rush to the end for the next 5 days to see if I can finish another book. I sure hope I can, because I would like to finish 2 books. It's probably not going to happen, but we will see. Of April, and I thought I would try and do like a daily check-in just for the run-up of these last few days as a bit of motivation. I haven't read anything else since I think I checked in. I think it was late yesterday. Like I read a little bit more of Harry Potter. I'm feeling a little bit deflated in terms of I wish I'd read a few more things at this point, but it's just been a really busy month. So the goal tonight is to try and read a little bit more of The Nurse's War and see how far I can get. I've just filmed, hence the whole face of makeup. I filmed my TBR for... Has that earring been bent that whole time? I just filmed my TBR for May, so that was really exciting to look forward to everything I want to read, but also like a little bit overwhelming. So we're going to see how far I can get in The Nurse's War today. is now the 29th of April and it is 6:30 in the morning. I'm getting ready to have some breakfast and head to work, and I completely failed to check in with you for at least the last day and possibly the day before. In all honesty, I've not had heaps to check in about. It's been a busy week. I haven't done a colossal amount of reading. This is where I'm up to. I'm getting slowly through the Nurse's War, so I'm about page 150 out of 600. I'm hoping to get a chunk of reading done tonight, but I don't really know what our plans are for this evening, it being a Friday. I don't know if we're going to be going to the cinema or something like that. The new Downton Abbey film is out and I really want to see it. What if we don't end up going anywhere? Then I think I'm just going to settle down and try and maybe get to like the halfway mark today. I would really love to finish this by the end of April, but goodness knows if that's going to happen. In terms of my reread of The Order of the Phoenix, I haven't shown you for a while where I'm at. I'm basically here. So not super far. That's page 165 of like, I actually don't know how long this edition is. About just nearly 800. So some hefty reads, and I'm about 40% of the way through The Two Towers, so the next Lord of the Rings book. And yeah, that's sort of where my reading's at. There's a bunch of other books, like A Court of Silver Flames and whatever, that I haven't touched. Who knows when these books are going to get finished. At some point, I think, over the next few months, like after May, I think I'll be trying to clear up my bedside table and get through all the books that I've just sort of paused in the middle of. I think I'm probably do that at this point if it continues to get worse. So here's to hoping that at the end of the day I will have read a bit more of The Nurse's War. It's actually quite good, and it's, yeah, it took a little, it was a bit slow, but at about page 70 it started getting really interesting once the soldiers started arriving at the hospital that it's set at. And I'm really enjoying it, so I can't wait to give you more thoughts on that. I also wanted to do like a little bit of a mention and review of the weighted blanket that I have been sent by Oodie. So massive thanks to them again for sending me this. I'm really liking it. I have had no experience up until this point with weighted blankets. I have this like the 6.8 kilo blanket, and I just find it really lovely, particularly in the last week. Things have started to get really cold in Western Australia. The temperature's really dropped in Perth. And so this has been really nice. I've slept with it a couple of nights and it is just really cozy. There's just something about the way that it kind of snuggles into you that makes it the right choice some nights opposed to a regular blanket. So I would definitely recommend it. If a weighted blanket is something that you've been looking at getting, then for sure all of my thumbs up are behind the Oodie version. And again, super excited about the machine washable fact of this because that's going to be needed at some point, I can tell you that. So don't forget that I have the offer code for you of Kirsty Books 35, which you can use at checkout to save $35. But yeah, so this is a thumbs up, and I just wanted to check in and say that having had it for a few weeks now, I actually surprised by how much I love it, and I love reading with it. 'Tis the evening of the same day, and what's on the floor? Oh, it's light. That's a shadow. Anyway, it's the 29th. I think I said it was the 28th. I don't know what day it is. I've got the house to myself. It's a quiet Friday evening. I've had some book mail. Things could not be looking better. For book mail wise, I am so excited about what I got. Alan and Unwin have sent me a copy of an historical fiction novel, and I'm going to be cruel, and I'm going to make you wait until I do my next book haul, because otherwise I just end up doing book hauls in my vlogs. But anyway, so excited. And yeah, anyway, so the plan is to read. So naturally I have spent thus far the evening on TikTok. I think I'm at about page 160 in The Nurse's War. It's rapidly improving. We've gone from being bored to being very interested, so that's good. We're going to see how far we can read this evening. There's potential plans for the cinema. That's looking more likely, but unsure. So I'll keep you posted, and I will try to actually read now and not go back on TikTok. It's the evening of the same day, and let's take these off because that's just problematic, isn't it? I feel like I've done a bit more reading of The Nurse's War. I'm this far through now. So like nearly halfway. Really good, really enjoying it, and planning to spend the rest of my evening, which is about 5 minutes before I fall asleep, working on my book wish list, because these are the things we do for fun as bookworms. Anyway, that's my update. I'm too tired for any more than that. We'll check in tomorrow. Right, it's the 30th of April. It's the last day of the month. And I'm at page 250 in The Nurse's War. Just packing up and getting ready to go out for the day. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a great day. plans for the day is Chris and I are going to go to this exhibit that's happening, which is like a recreation of the artwork in the Sistine Chapel. I'm so excited because it's something I'd love to see. It's a place I'd love to go to, but like who knows if I'll ever get to Italy. I have been before, but I have not been to the Sistine Chapel, so it's something I want to do, but I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to just having a chill day. We're going to be heading to Fremantle and just vibing there. Then I'm going to try and convince Chris to go to a sushi train because I would really like to go to a sushi train. And then we're going to go book shopping because I have vouchers to spend. So we're looking forward to that. And then it's going to be a nice night with some friends. And I'm going to be packing the Nurses War to see if I can keep going through this. This is like really getting good. I have been like in tears for the last 50 pages. This is like really emotionally connecting with me. So much better than I thought it was going to be based off the first like 70 pages. I am loving this as of this far. I'm also going to be packing the Order of the Phoenix, and so I'm not expecting I'll probably finish either of them. You can see I'm not very far into the Order of the Phoenix. But that's what I'm packing, that's what I'm bringing, that's what my weekend's looking like. Tomorrow is the 1st of May, so I will be wrapping up this vlog soon and diving into May, and I'm really excited because I've got like this massive, messy TBR there, and I'm so keen to get into it. So anyway, I will check in again to probably give you the final update of how I've gone and what I've read and where I am leaving things off to be picked up in May. Hello and welcome to the end of another month, to the end of April. This is the concluding clip for this here vlog, so thanks for sticking around. I wanted to do a little overview to let you know where I got to with everything, what I read, favourites for the month, and so on and so forth. April's been a particularly fantastic month for book buying. I have to say I'm so thrilled with the book shopping I did. So very naughty with how many things I bought, but anyway, let's just cast an eye to where I got to. I did not finish the Nurses War. I ended up doing other things, and I also remembered last minute that I have book club at the very beginning of May, and I needed to read a book club pick, and I had forgotten about that. So let's talk more about that, but first of all, let's go back to the beginning of the month. So the first book that I finished in April was Everybody in My Family Has Killed Someone. I rated this 5 stars. It's going into my all-time favourites list, and it's certainly one of my favourite books for the year so far. I really enjoyed this. I thought this murder mystery was so much fun. Another big thank you to Penguin for sending me a copy of it to read for review. Genuinely so funny. Cannot recommend enough that you should go and pick up a copy of the book if you see it in the bookstore. It was just very candid and hilarious. I then read League of Lies by Astrid Schultz, which was another 5-star read. Again, a really enjoyable book and much better than previous things that I have read by Astrid Schultz. Was really impressed with where her writing has gone since then. I then finished my first audiobook for the month, which was Stolen Focus by Johann Hari. Now this one was just mind-blowingly brilliant. A brilliant audiobook narrated by the author himself. Again, a 5-star read. It's something that I wish people would read as much as they're reading The Barefoot Investor, because I just think it was super enlightening, and I'm really glad that I did decide to pick it up because it's led me to read other things along the same lines, and I'm just feeling like I'm educating myself in terms of mental organization. I then read the first 2 books, one after each other, of the How to Train Your Dragon series. I actually had all 3 bundled up in one audiobook narrated by David Tennant, which I loved. I rated both How to Train Your Dragon and How to Be a Pirate 4 stars. I found them really enjoyable. They're very young for me though. They are meant for a much younger age group. I think David Tennant did a really great job narrating it, though, as I mentioned, was a bit quiet at times. It was actually a really hard audiobook to listen to in the car because I was constantly turning up and turning down. But on the whole, Just a really enjoyable and easy and very short adventure book, and I'm really excited to read the rest of the series. I then read Atomic Habits by James Clear. Now this I bought off the back of finishing Stolen Focus and really wanted to read it to see how it compared. Slightly different topics, but some crossover, and found it really great. I rated this one 5 stars as well. I have been on such a high for 5-star ratings this month. Once I finished that one, I finished the last section of the audiobook and the third book for the How to Train Your Dragon series, so How to Speak Dragonese. This was the first 5-star read in the How to Train Your Dragon series for me. There was just something a little bit extra about this one that I really enjoyed, and so it just crept it over the mark for me. I then read the first book off my TBR, which was Cinder by Marissa Meyer, and I rated this 4 stars. I am expecting that this series will grow and will get even better, so I sort of felt like I needed to be conservative in my rating for it. Whilst I didn't really have any super complaints, I found the story on the whole very satisfying and good. I felt that there could be some more character growth and extra like world development. And then I read the second book off my TBR, which was Starsight by Brandon Sanderson, and I rated that 5 stars. Brilliant. I'm absolutely loving the Skyward series. It is so enjoyable and such great sci-fi. So in total I ended up reading 9 books in April, which is really good. It's lower than like the 10 or 11 or 12 books that would be super ideal to keep up pacing. I am on track to read close to 100 books at this point. I've not yet read enough to get ahead far enough to say with confidence that I will read 100 books by the end of the year, but I've managed to keep it up until the beginning of May, so we're creeping up to the halfway mark of the year. Obviously I'm massively rounding up there, but I am actually looking really hopeful to not only meet my Goodreads goal of 88 books, but to surpass it and hit an all-time goal for me, which is to try and read 100. So I'm going to be pushing really hard to do that, to hit 100 books. I'm in the middle of so many books. April was a just pure chaos month for me, and I've finally at the end of the month just come out of that mood. I wasn't sure I was going to. I always do read more than one book, but at the moment it's just been absolutely hectic in how much I've just not been able to finish books. So I have been in the middle of The Goblet of Fire, which is the 5th Harry Potter book. I'm still in the middle of Maybe You Should Talk to Someone, which was off my March TBR, I think, and I will be finishing that. I just sort of don't have the time. I'm still in the middle of The Limitless Sky, which is a review copy I'm reading on my Kindle. I'm still in the middle of A Court of Silver Flames, though I did actually make some progress towards finishing. Feels a bit of an overstatement, but I made progress in that in April, which is the first time I've done that for a while. I started listening to Lord of the Rings and I'll finish that in May. I'm also in the middle of The Nurses' War. I can actually show you how far I got in this. This was where I ended up with it, so I'm over the halfway mark, but I've still got a fair chunk to go. I really wanted to finish this sooner, but this is quite a big book, and I've just had other things that have distracted me. And then finally I have started and am more or less in the middle of Anatomy, which is my book club pick. So you will need to stay tuned and watch my May vlog to find out how I go and whether I finish off any of those books and if I can recover from this chaos phase I've gone through. I am thinking at this point that June is looking like it's going to be a TBR free month to let me sort of clean up my reading, but we will see. So that's everything from me in this video. On the whole, really happy with how my reading is going. Well and truly on track for my Goodreads goals, and I am planning to do a mid-year check-in to look at my annual, like all of my reading goals closer to June, so stay tuned for that one. That's everything from me today, so thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye. Alle gloria militar.